Stop right there. You see Mexico para los Mexicanos, basically Mexico for Mexicans, right? Mexico for Mexicans. That's so xenophobic, isn't it? Wow. Mexico for Mexicans? That sounds racist. Sounds xenophobic. Can't believe they'd be saying that over there. Wow, I can't believe they would think something like that, that they want their country for themselves and no one else, treading on them and treading on their way of life and not adapting to their culture, and essentially, economically disrupting, their way of life. Go figure that they don't like that over there in other countries. What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to head on over to Mexico. Yes, we're going international today, a little geopolitics today. Why are we headed over to Mexico, and why do I have this grin on my face? Well, because the irony in all this is glorious. It truly is glorious. Many of you may be familiar with this already. Some of you may not. Well, in Mexico City, you have Mexicans that are protesting, right? We have essentially the Mexican version of Antifa that's tearing up Mexico City, destroying property, spray painting, gringo, go home all over the place and whatnot, in protest to the gentrification that's happening in Mexico, right? By way of those who are considered digital nomads, of those who, work remotely from homes. I think the irony is sweet that they're telling Americans go home, right? They're telling Americans learn Spanish or go home, right? They're telling Americans that if you don't want to adapt to our culture and to our way of life, go home. They're saying that, hey, man, you're making it hard for us to live and work here. Go home. And once again, the irony in all this before I play the video is that they're not doing anything illegal. The Americans over there didn't cross the border illegally. That's not what happened. I mean, and essentially, they're not taking any jobs away from anybody either, right? They're coming with their own jobs, and it's all legal. But they don't want Americans there, right? Even though they're not bothering anybody, they just came to work. They're just working hard, right? They just came to work. But damn that. Go back to America. Anyways, let's get into this clip here. Let's dive into this and dissect this a little bit from Al Jazeera. Oh, man, the irony is glorious. Let's get into it now.
These protesters in Mexico City say cross-border migration is changing their country's capital for the worse. Over the last decade, an influx of mostly American so-called digital nomads have moved here to work remotely and also enjoy a cheaper cost of living. Protesters say the new...
Stop right there. You see Mexico para los Mexicanos, basically Mexico for Mexicans, right? Mexico for Mexicans. That's so xenophobic, isn't it? Wow. Mexico for Mexicans? That sounds racist. Sounds xenophobic. Can't believe they'd be saying that over there. Wow, I can't believe they would think something like that, that they want their country for themselves and no one else, treading on them and treading on their way of life and not adapting to their culture, and essentially, economically disrupting, their way of life. Go figure that they don't like that over there in other countries.
Newcomers have driven up rent per cost of living. Protesters say the newcomers have driven up rents beyond the reach of locals.
If they're going to live in a country, they have to contribute to that country. The first and simplest issue is legal migration. They come here with visas or no visas, and still the change in purchasing power generates these problems of gentrification and displacement.
That's interesting. He said they come here with visas or no visas. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. They're not. No one's illegally immigrating into Mexico. For those of us who have been in Mexico, have been to Mexico like I have, it's very simple. You just drive across the border and they let you in. Now, if any of you have ever driven into Mexico and have attempted to drive back into the United States, that's where the headache is. That's one of the biggest reasons why I've never went back. I drove in once before, years ago. It was nothing to drive across the border into Mexico. They let you right in. That's why what he's saying is nonsense about those with visas and here illegally. Nobody's there illegally. So they let you drive right in, no problem. But when it's time to drive back into America, that's I think we waited like 3 hours. It's like a 3 hour wait because that's how great the traffic is to get back into America, because of just how, what's the word I'm looking for? That's just how stringent they are as it pertains to checking who you are crossing the border, passports, all that kind of stuff, checking your car and everything like that. But I just wanted to call Cap though, right? I just wanted to call Cap. He's lying. Nobody's there illegally. You don't have to cross the border illegally to get into Mexico. They let you right in.
Visas, and still the change in purchasing power generates these problems of gentrification and displacement.
I'm here because gentrification is just one more step towards colonization, dispossession, and the exploitation of our resources. Right now it's about the people, but it won't be long before they run out of oil, water, or lithium in other countries and come and take them from us.
She's reaching. She's doing the most. Like, nobody's extracting resources out of Mexico. Like, that's not what's going on. You're really putting like extra sauce on it. It's just Americans crossing the border who work remotely, living in their country, to which, the cost of living goes up because of that, and they don't like it. But once again, nothing is being done illegally. Yet when it's the other way around and American citizens we're being undercut, right? And the pay is being undercut due to illegal immigration to the country, in which businesses are hiring illegal immigrants and paying them under the table for far less wage than what you'd have to pay in Americans. You and me, we have to shut up about that. Don't you dare say anything, because that's racist, and there's something wrong with you for complaining about that. But what is the opposite, the other way around, and nothing illegal is actually happening. It's just that the people that own the businesses and the property are raising up the cost because they're actually just trying to take advantage of Americans that are there. They should actually be mad at the property owners and the business owners rather than be mad at the Americans who are there legally, just trying to work hard. But anyways, that's just what I have to say about that. Let's let this video carry on. Let's let it go.
They run out of oil, water, or lithium in other countries and come and take them from us.
Many Americans in Mexico are able to still receive high salaries in dollars from U.S. companies by working on laptops from their apartments.
The government is directing its public policies towards people with higher purchasing power, often illegally displacing local populations who have lived in these neighborhoods for 40, 50, and we have even documented cases of up to 60 years. In 5 years, rents have increased by 47%. This is violent for the local population. We are debating whether to pay for electricity, water, or food. Of course, we choose to eat.
What about what Americans here can't find work, right? Because they've been displaced out of that employment due to being undercut by illegal immigrants that are willing to do the jobs for far less money. People like to talk about like, oh, are you going to go work on the farms? You're going to do that? Do you know that they live in like shanty towns over there? I need to do a video specifically about illegal immigrant workers on farms. They don't live good. They get paid crap, and they live in these like little shanty town. I don't say this disrespectfully, but like, it's not the equivalent of slave quarters, because I don't want to be disrespected to history. But I'm just trying to give you a visual. Like, they live in these like we'll just say shanty towns. I've said it 3 times already. They live like crap over there, right? And these farmers know that they can get away with it, but they can't get away with that with American citizens, right? You're not going to pay us trash and then tell us to go live over there in this little rundown, trailer, but you come work here for pennies on the dollar every day. This doesn't work like that, right? You got to pay me an honest wage as an American citizen, but farmers and whatnot, they don't want to do that. Businesses don't want to do that. They don't want to pay Americans a fair wage. So they rather bring in and allow, or I should say, they rather utilize the illegal immigrants that are coming into the country. All right, that's what they rather do. But once again, for me to say that, to tell that kind of truth is racist. Apparently, it's racist. But this is a righteous cause. What they got going on here is a righteous cause. Let's carry on.
This is violent for the local population. We are debating whether to pay for electricity, water, or food. Of course, we choose to eat.
Some activists blame Mexico's government for encouraging them. However, there's no simple fix. Imposing tougher visa restrictions on Americans could worsen relations with the U.S. Mexican citizens in the U.S. also send billions of dollars in remittances back to their families in Mexico. In a world where travel and communication are faster and easier than ever, these two nations are finding it harder to have neighborly relations. Wilson Dysart, Al Jazeera.
The irony is so sweet, isn't it? Once again, I just really wanted to point this out because number one, this isn't new, right? This has actually been going on for quite some time now, as far as those in Mexico who are upset about Americans moving into the country. But, just in closing, when you have DNC lunatics that will look at people like myself and you and say that our position is somehow xenophobic and racist, it's just a bold-faced lie. Because you see how it is when the shoe's on the other foot. You see when the shoe's on the other foot in a slightly different way, right? But the shoe's on the other foot. The people react the same way. If you're coming here in a capacity that disrupts the way of life for the essentially native population, then the native population is going to have a problem. In their case over there, they say they're being gentrified because the businesses and the property owners are raising the prices of everything, right? Raising the prices of goods, apartments, housing, everything, because they know that the Americans can afford it. So then that displaces the Mexicans that live there. On the opposite spectrum of it, I repeated it multiple times on this video. I'll just say it one last time again about, jobs that get taken away from Americans and given over to illegal immigrants that'll do the work for far less, right? You see, whenever that disruption occurs, the reaction that you get from that from said native population is a normal, natural reaction to say, hey, wait a minute, some of you got to go back, if not all, got to go, right? Because it's one thing to be generous and cool and to allow people to come into your country and take advantage of certain, opportunities that, are within said country on both sides. But the moment that it starts to impede on the native population that is there or the citizen population that's there, now it's going to be an issue. And I guarantee you, none of the DNC lunatics and everybody that has a problem with Trump's mass deportation, everything that's going on, I guarantee you, if you play that video alone, minus my commentary, just play the Al Jazeera video alone and tell them, hey, so what do you think about that? I guarantee you they won't have an issue with anything that's going on over there as it pertains to the protest. They'll say, yeah, they're gentrifying, they're colonizing. They'll tell you all this goofy stuff, but then they can't see it in the reverse that actually hurts American citizens here. I challenge you, you guys should do that, right? Share this video, obviously, but minus my commentary also, because that video is a lot shorter. It's only 2 minutes long. I play this video for your DNC lunatic family members. And I'm curious too what they have to say about that. Let me know in the comment section when you play this video for them, the original Al Jazeera video, right? What did they think? What did they think? I'm curious. With all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And also, please don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.